Em, and it is time yet again for the best and worst reads of the year. My best and worst reads, that is. Most of these books, if not all, have a standalone review on this channel somewhere. If you look under the playlist of book reviews, you will find them. So I will try to limit myself as I go through these, not make this too long a video. We're going to start with the best and then work our way down through my least favorite reads. So I had 7 5-star reads this year, which sounds great, sounds like a lot, until you realize 6 of those were, so 3 of them were Heaven Officials Blessings books, 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 of them were Nozaki-kun. They're not manga, there's another word for them because they're a 4-panel comic, but, and then The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, the first volume of that manga, and The Iliad, which is just something I like, and I particularly liked this translation. So yeah, those are my 5-star reads. It's not as impressive as it sounds when you delineate them, maybe. I did give a 4.9 to Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, which I did really also like, mostly because I related to the material very deeply. I gave a 4.8 to The Bible Says So by Dan McClellan. I enjoy his channel, and, as I excavate my own religious upbringing, I find books like that really helpful and informative. And I also gave a 4.8 to the 5th Heaven Officials Blessing volume. It just wasn't quite a 5-star read for me like the others had been. There's 3 more, I think, in the series, so I'm looking forward to those. It's still a great series, a great book. I love these characters. I think I'm getting to the point, though, where there's a lot of things going on and everybody has multiple names and it's a little harder to keep track of everything. And that might be a little bit of why. There's a device used to allow the main characters to see through into the past or into other people's lives. So we get a lot of that as opposed to the story of what's actually going on here and now, and the main characters having the interactions that I most enjoy from these books. So that's why it was just slightly less than 5 stars for me. And then 4.7 for The Ghost, which for me was a reread. I really, really liked the book. I remember really enjoying the movie. I haven't rewatched the movie because I realized after the fact that it is a Roman Polanski movie, which gives me kind of the ick to watch. In the same way I don't particularly want to go rewatch any Woody Allen films. So yeah, it was a good one. And then my 4.5-star reads, The Bookshop, which it's funny because in retrospect, when I rate these books, it's usually right after I've read them and it's my immediate feeling. And then after the book sits for a while, because I read The Bookshop very early in the year, I realize, I don't know if that was a 4.5-star read. That might have been more like a 3.5-star read. And then All the Sinners Bleed, which I gave 4.5 stars right after I read it. And now I'm thinking, but I think I liked it more than that. That might have been a 4.7 or 8 now that I've had time to sit with it. My memory of enjoying it is stronger than a 4.5. But I'm going with what I gave it at the time. The Bewitching, I also gave 4.5 stars. And Educated, I gave 4.5 stars. Then we move on to my least favorite reads of the year, and I'm just counting anything 2.5 stars and less in this. So we'll start with the 2.5 stars, the things that were, if you look at a 5-star rating, 2.5 stars should be dead average, dead in the middle, although when I'm rating personally, I think a 3 and up is a good book, and anything less than a 3 is a book I didn't particularly like. That's just my personal way of ranking things. So Big Name Fan, which, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. There's a whole video about it. Destiny's Embrace, which is a 1980s romance novel. It was, of its time and its ilk. I just didn't love it. And Let's Pretend This Never Happened, which I just expected to be funnier than it was. I had heard so many things about how funny this book is, what a funny memoir it is, and then I was reading it and I was like, I'm not laughing. So, I mean, it was fine. I don't know. Maybe just because I don't have a point of reference for Ginny Lawson, so I just it didn't mean anything to me to some extent. I don't know. And then 2 1/3 stars for Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, which, yeah, again, I talk about it in a video. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be or expected it to be. 2 stars for Most Ardently, which is a queer take on Pride and Prejudice. And I enjoyed that aspect, but there were just so many other problems with it for a fan of Pride and Prejudice, where I just felt like it should have been its own story instead of trying to graft itself onto a well-known and beloved book. I think it just should have been a historical queer fiction. That's just me. The House at Watch Hill. Okay, I have another whole rant review about this, but this was my first and probably my only, like, Karen Marie moaning, however you say it. I've heard about her for years. This book sounded exactly up my alley. You know, old house, Louisiana, witches, you know, supernatural stuff. I come from a lot of that background. I have a Scottish ancestor who was a warlock, you know, so I'm here for that. And it just let me down on all the fronts. And, you know, it had this really stupid cliffhanger ending that it's stupid of me to expect something a little more rooted in reality when I'm reading, I guess, what counts as some kind of paranormal. Is it? I don't even know what classification this is, but it's not my thing. It's not romantasy exactly, because the romance doesn't seem to be the chief element. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to read any more of that. It wasn't good. And then I gave 1.8 stars to The Night Shift by Alex Finlay. Again, my first Alex Finlay. The writing wasn't terrible. I just didn't like any of the characters. I had the solution figured out really early, and so at that point it was just reading to confirm my suspicions. I read this because I was growing up in Austin around the time of the yogurt shop murders, and this felt similar in tone, even though I think it was a blockbuster or whatever. And I thought I would, you know, like that more, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I didn't enjoy it, really. 1.6 stars for The Writing Retreat, which again, should have been something I loved. I have a whole video about it, but it just, again, the main character, who I think I was supposed to be sympathetic towards, I was not. And it went sideways, and it ended up being really dumb. Playing the Palace was a 1.5 star read. Ugh. Oh, it just wanted to be red, white, and royal blue, and it wasn't. And I liked red, white, and royal blue, but not as much as a lot of people. Like, a lot of people I think I gave it like 3 or 3.5 stars. It was fine. It was fun, but this was like a cheap knockoff version of that, and not even a good one. And then The Ancestor, which I finished only recently, and again, I have a video ranting about it. 1.5 stars. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It should have been great. The premise, the setup, the location, everything, and then no, it just didn't work for me. The main character, the way she grows in this book is she's supposedly stronger and more self-assured, but honestly, she's just a worse person. So it's hard for me to be happy about that. Anyway, those were my worst reads of the year. So on the whole, if you do the numbers, I had more good reads than bad reads, but at the same time, my bad reads were really bad. I read some really good books this year. I just also read some books that they're going to live with me, and not in a good way, I guess is the thing. The things I read and enjoyed won't live with me as long as the things I read and didn't enjoy, which I guess is human nature. We're designed to remember things that affect us badly so that we don't do that again. Don't eat that food again, you know, or whatever, if it made you sick. And so, yeah, don't read that author again if it made you sick, I guess. If you didn't like it. Some of these authors I would maybe give another shot, but at the same time, I'm not in any hurry to read more by them. Let's put it that way, I guess. Anyway, that's the best and worst of the year for me. What have you read that you enjoyed? What have you read that you hated? If you've read any of these, weigh in. Let me know your thoughts. And until next time, which will probably not be until the new year at this point, take care.